And when that happens, it simplifies your whole business. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about leadership. Usually I talk a lot about accounting and bookkeeping and debits and credits and all of the things that go into the accounting behind the scenes. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about leadership and some of the things that I've been studying about that. If you find any value in these videos, if you think they're interesting or just fun, or you think that they're worth watching at all, please like, share, subscribe. Really appreciate your help in growing this channel. Honestly, I can't do this without you. So with that said, I am just south of Salt Lake City, and this morning we had snow. It's April 30th. I'm still reeling from that just a little bit. But one of the things I've been doing a lot lately is listening and studying neuro-linguistic programming. And I know that doesn't sound anything like into bookkeeping, accounting, business, but actually it's a leadership program, and it's a kind of psychology. And if you are in business, psychology and understanding what makes people tick is a really big thing. People don't realize that. I have had so many business partners and bosses and people that want to work with me believe, for example, that I'm motivated by money. I'm actually not. Money is a nice thing to have, and I'm happy to charge it. But it's not a major motivator for me because it's not money that makes me feel significant. So I've been listening to Tony Robbins, and he is really becoming. I've been sleeping with the guy. I swear, going to sleep with his head in my ears, with his voice in my ears. So I'm listening to him as I fall asleep. So it's really awesome because I am able to really learn deeply from him. One of the things that I've learned about myself, and this is really where all of this leadership comes from, it starts by learning about you. And one of the things I've learned about myself is that if someone else comes to me and says, oh, you just have to listen to this guy, the odds are pretty good that I'm going to go, no, I don't. No, I don't. But once I started hearing about what he had to say, and I started paying attention. I've read Tony Robbins actually for years. I have his first 2 books. I've had them since he wrote them. But there's times when someone will come up to me and say, you have to do this. And it's interesting because when I hear you have to, my first reaction is, I don't have to do anything. Don't have to. I'll fight you on it. And why is that? Well, there's 6 human needs, right? The first one is certainty, and then because God hates us, the second one is uncertainty. We like variety. I'm just kidding. If everything was certain in our lives, we would be so bored. The second one is variety. The third one is significance. The fourth one is love or connection. They are not the same thing, and people will confuse the two. The fifth is growth, and the sixth is contribution. So I thought I would kind of go over, some of the things that I have learned about this, apply it to myself, and then hopefully you will be able to learn maybe something about yourself or your employees or the people that you work with, your clients, and figure out what really motivates them. Again, I have a lot of people who approach me as if money is a big motivator for me. It's not. Money is not a big motivator for me. What motivates me is variety and significance. And probably the first one is connection. The second one is significance. And then after that, it's variety. And certainty is further down on the list. How do I know this? Well, for one thing, I have had people, really try to motivate me with money. Money's nice. Again, I'm happy to charge money for my services. I'm starting to bring more people into the business so that it's not just me. And I need to pay them money because that's how we exchange value. I've talked about this on another video. Money is just a means of exchange. That's all it is. Those little green dollar bills really don't mean anything except that we have agreed what a dollar buys. So I have agreed how much of my time is worth $1 and how much of my employees' time is worth $1 and how much $1 can buy at the grocery store, how much $1 can buy at the car dealership. We've decided all this. It's decided on. So, and how many of these dollars do I need to get my hair done or get my nails done or get my, I'm kind of high maintenance. So this has all been decided as a society. We've decided that the full faith and credit of the United States government is sufficient. We don't need it backed up by gold, and I've never understood why gold. It's a pretty metal, but it's just pretty. I mean, until electronics came along, it wasn't good for much. Money will motivate people up to a certain point, right? If someone is going to lose their house, money is a pretty good motivation for them to keep their house, right? If that's where they're at, and you say, well, I'll pay you enough money to help you not have your house repossessed, then that's a pretty good motivator. But up to a certain point, once they have gotten to the point that their survival needs are met, and this goes back down to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. He talks about the very first need is we have to have our survival needs met. Once we're out of survival mode, and I am, then we go into the other needs. And needs are not the same as values, actually. We all have a need to be loved. This is an interesting insight, I can only meet my need for love and connection by feeling significant. I have to feel like I've earned it. And I actually will look down on other women, it's another interesting insight, who arrive in life by hanging on to their husband's coattails. I have no use for women like that. I don't want women like that in my life. I don't want them around me. Why is that? Well, because I've been a wife, and I have been an entrepreneur, and I've been a single mom, and I'm currently a single mom, and I just kind of look at this and go, you don't do anything. I probably kind of irritate my my sister-in-law by this, because I'm like, I've been the military wife too, where my husband left and I had 3 little kids at home, and I was not in America. I was in Germany, in a foreign country, and I didn't speak German. And fortunately, I am a blue-eyed blonde. And my kids were blue-eyed blondes. So we just kind of, nobody knew that we weren't German until I started talking. I'm coming at it as I've been there, done that, gotten the t-shirt. The hardest job I've ever had has been a single mother. Not a military wife, because at least I got his paycheck. But at the same time, because I've filled all of these roles. I've been the single mom, been the military wife, I've been the civilian wife. I filled all these different roles, and I go, you know what? That's easy. When you don't have to work for a living, all you do is take care of your kids. In my mind, because I've done it, you've got the easy job. And I have had to be the single mom, because I've also been the battered wife. That's not a very fun place to be. So I got out of that as quickly as I could. But I also, because I've been there, done that, I've raised the 3 little stair steps by myself. And then, because I'm a glutton for punishment, what can I say? I remarried, had 2 more kids, and got divorced again for, a variety of reasons. And so I'm like, I've been the single mom with toddlers at home, working from home, trying to avoid daycare. And I promise you, a wife, you've got the easiest job in the world. But my significance, my connection, my love, and they're not the same thing, by the way. You can feel very connected to someone. When my first husband was beating the heck out of me, I felt very connected to him. And it was a lot of uncertainty in that environment. And he was very significant right then. And I was certain that if I didn't get away from him, he was going to kill me. I mean, it's just, there was 4 needs met right there in that moment. I was also certain, one of the things that went through my mind that day was, I come from a long line of very strong women. I can live without him. So I was certain I could do without him. I was not certain if he was going to kill me that day or not. So, you know, and I tell this story not because I felt weak or worthless in that moment. I tell the story because I'm really proud of the way that I quickly got out of it, because I knew, I was certain that I was strong enough to do it without him. I was not very certain that I could make it through, you know, survive that day. For reference, okay, I'm 5'3". I was maybe 115, 120 pounds soaking wet. And when he thought I, you know, must have been drunk or something, mistook me. I was maybe 115 pounds soaking wet. I'm a little bit heavier now. I had recently had a C-section. And by contrast, he's 6'2" at least, maybe 6'3", and he was 200 pounds, and that's when he was skinny. So he was a foot taller and twice my weight. And I knew, I had certainty that I could defeat him and get out of that situation. I had absolute certainty of that. How I was going to do that, I wasn't certain of. That was the variety. And actually, Tony Robbins teaches, if you have any 3 of these needs met, it can become an addiction. And so I find a lot of significance in the fact, and significance is my number 1 value, okay? Significance is my number 1. Connection comes number 2. I felt very connected to him in that moment because I didn't know what he was going to do next. I did know. I've been a model. You know, my mother used to tell me all the time I would have had no problem winning beauty contests except that I'm short. Really, I'm vertically challenged, so I couldn't win beauty contests because they like tall women. But I have been a model. I've been a runway model. So to have him hit me in the face was surprising. And I got on to all this because I wanted to talk about connection and love are not the same thing. He said, that was the day my love for my ex-husband died. And at the same time, I felt very connected to him. Why? Because he had my life in his hands that day. Tony Robbins talks about violence fulfills 4 of the 6 human needs in a large way. And I can tell you from personal experience, that is very much the truth. My ex was very significant to me in that moment. There was a lot of certainty. I was certain that I could get out. I was uncertain as to how, and I was very uncertain as to what was going to happen next. And there was a ton of connection because he had my life in his hands. So connection can actually be something it can be actually pretty negative. It can be a very positive thing. I have a very dear friend who talks about a woman that he knows, and he goes, we have this deep emotional connection. And I'm going, that's not love. It doesn't have to be love. Connection and love are not the same thing. So there's that. Also, if you have any 3 of these needs met, it can become an addiction in a hurry. Now, for many years, I struggled with depression. I no longer use that word. I am trying to teach my daughters to take that word completely out of their vocabulary. A depression to me now is a weather event. It is a center of low energy, you know, that spins a certain way, and the low air pressure. That's what a depression is to me now. Or it's a financial event on a macroeconomic scale. Ronald Reagan said a recession is when your neighbor loses your job, and a depression is when you lose yours. That's all that is to me now. I don't allow myself to go there. Because the reason that I did for so many years is that I was able to have my needs met by being depressed. And this sounds really weird. People actually get addicted to it. Why? Well, one is they're certain. They're certain of how they feel. And they're certain that they're not going to come out of it. I remember many times, sitting like at a restaurant and being with people and just being certain that I was going to be depressed no matter what. There's variety too, because I never knew in the morning if I was going to feel good or not good. There's significance. I'm depressed. Everybody's going to come and try to help jolly me out of it, so to speak. There's connection. There's no love there, but there's connection. People would come to me and they would try to help me, and especially if I refused it and said, "Oh no, I'm fine," people would they would try to help, and so I would feel this connection that if I was depressed, people would react. Also, there was an opportunity of growth. I would go to therapists, and I would, in contribution, growth and contribution both were fulfilled. I could go to therapists, and I could have them kind of study me, so I felt like I was contributing. And it wasn't until much later, in fact, it wasn't until October of 2016, I can pinpoint it. I know exactly the date, and again on January 2nd of 2017, and on February 20th, 2017. I know exactly the days that changed. I hated the guy that changed it. I'm still mad at him for it. And yet I have to give him credit because those were the days that I realized that the relationship that I want was not going to thrive if I continued to use depression as a means of connection. Because he wouldn't connect with me. Told me point blank, he wouldn't connect with me. Everybody else always had. So he completely changed my certainty, okay? I suddenly became very certain that he was not going to give me what I wanted, which introduced a different variety of, I don't know what to do now. He became very significant because in a lot of ways, me growing this business that I'm growing now is a means of getting him to be in my life in a different role. And he knows who he is, so there's no point in me talking about it. And I knew that if I wanted love, which is really what I wanted, if I wanted love, or at least connection, I could not continue to be depressed, which led me to a lot of growth and a lot of contribution, which is why I do these videos, is to contribute. And a lot of times I do the videos and I'm the one that grows. So as you study, as you learn about leadership and you learn about the 6 human needs, the next thing to learn, you learn that if you meet any 3 of these needs, you're creating an addiction. Especially if you meet them at 10s and 20s instead of 1s and 2s. You said, on those 3 dates, all of a sudden, I had to completely shift everything to a 20, okay? I had to all of a sudden make sure, I had gone to therapy. I went to therapy because he asked me to go to therapy. And I didn't really care. And then the second time I went to therapy, I was going for me. I didn't even tell him that I was going to therapy. I was determined that I was going to conquer depression once and for all. And so I started learning about neurolinguistic programming. That came later. The therapists were teaching me CBT, which is and now I can't remember. But basically it's the idea that as you change the way that you think and you change your body, you change your outcomes. So I was very, CBT teaches about distorted thinking. So I'm very black and white in my thinking, very black and white. It's either right or wrong. You're either with me or against me. It's a 1 or a 0. Come on, folks. I mean, I would laugh and go, I majored in computer science before I went to accounting. So it was a 1 or a 0. It's on or it's off. And if you've ever tried to balance the refrigerator light, and come on, we've all done this, you know it's on or it's off. I'm very binary. So it was interesting to me to start going, well, maybe there are shades of gray. I still don't see them, to be honest. 50 Shades of Grey, nope. You're either who you are or you're not. You either have integrity or you don't. I have a very hard time with the idea of, well, I can have integrity in one part of my life, but not in others, because I really believe that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So as a leader, the idea is to start learning about the 6 human needs, to start learning about how people meet their needs. By way of example, someone like Jeffrey Dahmer would meet his needs for love and significance in a very different way than I do. I meet my needs for love and significance by helping other people, by doing their books, by getting letters behind my name, by going to school, by growing. Growing is the biggest way that I get significance, by helping other people. Jeffrey Dahmer met his needs for love and significance in a very different way. So did Osama bin Laden. He got his significance. Man, he got it significant in a hurry on 9/11 of 01. And he felt very connected to the people that helped him, even though they all died. Because that's his worldview. That's what he's been taught to believe, is that you must kill anyone that doesn't believe the way you believe. And yet my way of achieving love and significance is not to kill people, it's to help them. So, as you learn, that's kind of the first step, is to learn the 6 human needs. Again, first is certainty, the second is uncertainty or variety, the third is significance, the fourth is love and connection, love or connection. Again, I think it's important that you understand that connection is not love. And you can love someone and not feel connected to them. And you can feel connected to someone and not love them. In fact, you can feel connected to someone and feel very vindictive towards them. The fifth one is growth, and the sixth is contribution. And if you can meet those human needs in a positive way, and I think tomorrow I'm going to talk about maps, because I really want to help people become leaders, not just how to do their books, but the people that I want to help do their books are the ones that are building monster businesses. And the only way to build an amazing business is to help others help you. The more people you help, the more you are helped. I really believe that. So that's the 6 human needs. Again, I went over these with my daughter last night, and she was like, I don't get these needs met by being depressed. And I said, oh, yes, you do, and in a big way. And this is how. And I told her. And I said, because she deals with depression as well. And I told her, number one, don't ever call it your depression. It's not your depression. It's just depression. Don't claim it. Don't tell yourself that you own it. Call it, this damn thing, this bucket of crap. I'm trying to think of ways to express how I feel about depression that's, PG, at least PG-13, right? Stop owning it, and then start looking at, what does it do for me? And when you can say, well, yes, I feel certain, I feel variety, I feel significant, because my friends are all taking me out to get pizza and Starbucks and So Delicious and all this stuff. I'm getting a lot back. When you start to recognize that, and then I said, what kind of people do you want to be around? Something that's interesting to me, I'm sorry, I know this is going on way too long. Something that's interesting to me is the idea that one of the ways that I connected with people was to be depressed. But who do I like to be around? I don't like to be around other depressed people. I like to be around people who had a sunny disposition. And my actual, real disposition is actually very cheerful, very sunny, very joyful. But I was stifling that because I thought I could get my needs met by being depressed. So I should probably wrap up this video, but I wanted to kind of go over that, and I wanted to kind of talk about, because as you learn about these needs, as you learn about people's maps, as you learn how people meet their needs, and these are needs, these are not wants. This is not the list of the 6 human wants. And it did not come from Tony Robbins. He just happens to know it and teach it. He learned it from other people. And I'm going to kind of keep going over it. These are things that I have learned from him. These are also things that I'm going back to the source material. I have like 200 or 300 books on NLP, and I have a lot of books on CBT. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, and because I am pedantic and I have to know, CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy, which is where you become aware of your thoughts and aware of your behaviors, and you start to shift them so that you can change your outcomes. So, and there's different ways of doing that. So one of them for me was to look at and recognize my distorted thinking, and another way was to change my physiology. By the way, telling me I suck all the air out of the room is not a way to do that. One of the best ways I know of to get someone to change their physiology, especially if they're depressed or angry, is to take them for a walk, take them for a hike, get them outside. If they're inside, get them outside. If they're outside, take them inside. If they're sitting down, get them to stand up. If they're not moving, get them to move. How do you get them to move? Why don't you go for a walk with me? That's the easiest way, and that works for me every time. But telling me, oh, you're just sucking the air out of the room, you need to sit up straight, you need to do this, that doesn't work because I have a very rebellious spirit. And as soon as you go, you need to sit up and take deep breaths, I'm going to go, You know what I need to do? I need to leave, and I need to end your relationship, and I need to be done. That's usually where I go. So, unless it's someone who's extra special to me. That's about it for today. I am going to talk about this more often. I do want to talk about leadership versus management. I don't like to manage, by the way. I like to lead. And the way to lead is not to correct people in the moment. It is to teach them, and to teach them very subtly. And like I said, one of the best ways to get people out of depression is to take them for a walk. And then you can talk to them during the walk. They're more open because they're standing up straight. My daughter that I was talking to last night is a dancer. And so I said, can you be depressed when you're dancing? And she goes, no. I said, can you be depressed if you're smiling? And she goes, well, no, if you smile, Mom, your body releases dopamines. And even if you're faking and smile, if you smile enough, your body goes, oh, hey, we're not depressed. I said, so smile more. And I'm going to give you reasons to smile. So what I had her do is to start keeping a gratitude journal. She probably thinks I've forgotten about it, but I haven't. And I am going to check with her and ask her 5 things that she's grateful for. And she goes, oh, 5 things I'm grateful for. Okay, friends, family, my job, my car, and my school. I said, no, that's not how you do that. That's not how I want you to do that. Here's how I want you to do this. I have a beautiful, comfortable bedroom. with a brand new bed in it that my mom got me for Christmas, and brand new bedding. And it is so comfortable that I actually have a hard time getting out of it in the morning. I said, you feel the difference? And she goes, well, yeah. I said, okay, number two. I have an awesome car. Okay, it is kind of an old lady car. She has a Buick. I said, okay, it's kind of an old lady car. But you know what's awesome about it? You have no payment. It's paid for. And your parents don't make you make payments on it. And you don't have to pay for anything but gas and maintenance. Wow, that's a tremendous blessing. And as I was kind of ginning up the excitement, right? I was like, is that exciting? Say yes. Yes. I said, no. Say yes. And she goes, okay, Mom, I see what you're trying to do here. I said, no, really, this is what got me out, and this is what keeps me out of that black hole. And it really is a black hole. So as I go through this, what I'm trying to teach is the idea of helping people help themselves, really. It's not really what I want people to do in their bookkeeping, because I would be out of business. But as far as leadership, as far as my employees, I definitely want them to learn more about accounting. I want them to learn how to do a better job for their clients, because I want them to fulfill their human needs by doing a job for me. And as they do that, then one of the great things is that they become very loyal to me, and they become excited to work with me. And it goes for my clients as well. So this is really important from a business perspective. I know it doesn't seem like it, but bear with me. I'm going to try to make this a little bit more exciting. I have not learned how to teach this to groups yet, and I have not learned how to teach this as effectively as I would like. So I'm probably going to revisit this at least once a week, or once a month, maybe, because I want to learn how to teach it so that it excites other people. That's about it for today, and I am going to talk to you again real soon. Bye.